There are so many thyroid supplements out there on the market, and I know that you are all just over confused and overwhelmed. And maybe many of you have tried different ones as well and thought, what am I doing? This isn't working. I don't feel anything. Or maybe you've tried them and, like I see with my patients, your selenium shot through the roof. Your reverse T3 went up because you were taking too much of something or other. And then there's the iodine topic, which I love talking about on here because it gets such a bad rap. That's why I always bring back my dear friend, Sara Banta, who is so knowledgeable in this entire area to really break down the iodine component. So this is going to be a game changer for you. And you can probably hear the excitement in my voice. The latest introduction, the latest member of the family to the Fixxr line is Metabolism Fixxr. And this, oh my God, I formulated this just for all my people out there that need to lose weight, that need help in the weight loss department, that can't lose weight no matter what they do, that feel like they have a slow metabolism, and that might be thinking of trying all those peptides out there, you know, the Beverly Hills soccer mom drug of choice for weight loss peptides. Or even if you're on them already and you're like, man, these are really expensive and I'm still not losing weight, add in Metabolism Fixxr. Here's what I did. I took the power of T2, which increases your basal metabolic rate while you are sitting there watching Netflix. You're burning fat while you're watching Netflix. I combined it with a very unique patented ingredient called Suppressa. Suppressa has multiple clinical trials backing its efficacy in reducing your appetite, decreasing snacking, and providing way more control over your food intake. It is amazing. We also see improved emotional well-being, just decreased food cravings all around, reduced hunger, and weight management. Add on top of that, we have green tea extract, we have purple forest purple tea extract, both of which affect the metabolism in a very positive way without the jitters of normal fat burning supplements out there from the 1980s and 90s, right? The ones that made you feel like you're having a heart attack. You will not have that in any of my supplements, Thyroid Fixxr or Metabolism Fixxr. But Metabolism Fixxr, ooh, yeah, we kicked it up a notch. It is in powder form, so you can drink it through your day. It's going to flavor your water. We got orange crush and refreshing citrus. I love them both. It is going to keep you under control all day long. So you throw a couple scoops in your water bottle in the morning, throw a scoop or two in your water bottle throughout the day. You will have fat burning and appetite control the entire day for what? An eighth of a price of the peptides? Oh my God, you can't go wrong. So grab some Metabolism Fixxr today. Please let me know how you do on it. I am super excited for you. Super excited. Sara and I are planning today on really just having kind of a coffee talk conversation about thyroid supplements, what's good, what's bad, what to look for. We're going to talk a little bit more about T2 and my Thyroid Fixxr. We're going to talk about her thyroid supplement that is getting ready to come out. So we're going to get you guys ready to add this into your regimen. And we're going to talk about iodine. So we're going to talk all things today. We're going to see where this conversation goes. Sara, thank you so much for coming on. Again, I love having you on this podcast. I love it.
I love talking to you, Amie. It's just so much fun. And I love your audience too. They have great questions, and they sometimes will send me emails and questions about their issues. And they're educated, which I love, which speaks highly of you and what you do with your clients, because they're asking really smart questions. So wanted to just let you know that too.
Oh, well, thank you. No, I know a lot of my listeners have done your detox. And so it's, yeah, we share an audience. I think they're both struggling with the same set of symptoms and frustrations. So it's great every time we jump on and talk. Thyroid supplements. And I know that you're in the process of building one. So I'm really interested to hear kind of your thought process in creating your new thyroid supplement that will be coming out, and what you wanted in it and didn't want in it. And then we can kind of talk about the other thyroid supplements on the market that aren't so great, without naming names, of course.
Right. And I also want to talk about the iodine factor, that it's not even just for people that have thyroid issues. It's for every single person in your family, your
Yep.
kids, your pregnant women. So we can get into that as well. But yeah, I've always been hypo. Now, in the last 2 years, what we're seeing is a huge increase in suboptimal thyroid function,
Hmm.
as the whole endocrine system is functioning suboptimally, and hormones are off. Estrogen dominance is up. Gosh, you've got metabolic diseases are increased, and
Yep.
insulin is being mismanaged, I should say, because of COVID,
Hmm.
whether you've had the vaccine, haven't, have had the actual virus or not, it is disrupting all of our hormones, our insulin response, and throwing everything out of whack. And hair loss is
Oh, it's
going
big.
rampant, as you've seen. So, anyways, just wanted to put that out there. And my philosophy with my company, Accelerated Health Products, is I don't have to carry anything. I'm in the blessed position where I can carry the best of the best in whatever department it is. And I'll take, for instance, the magnesium. I carry Magnesium Breakthrough because I cannot perfect it, right? So why improve on something that is already perfect?
Right.
And so I came out with Accelerated Keto because the other keto supplements were junk. They were full of fake sugars. They didn't taste good. They didn't work as well. And I have this knowledge, and so does my mentor, the Ayurvedic masterpiece, where you take those Ayurvedic herbs and add to modern day medicine, and you get this synergy that no other company has created. So what we've done with the new Accelerated Thyroid is the same thing. And essentially, I combined two of the supplements that I take together and added a couple other things to it to, number one, save money, save the amount of pills that you're popping. Right. My husband always says, can you just come out with one pill that does everything? And I said, well, not quite, but I try to do my best in combining as much as I can that will benefit everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's really anybody that won't benefit from the accelerated thyroid. It combines the Ayurvedic herb called Kanchanara Guggul, and it's a traditional herbal formulation used for the treatments of tumors, cystic swelling, PCOS, ulcers, but also the thyroid. And a lot of women and men with suboptimal thyroid, they retain water. This also goes in and drains the dampness in your body, helps with obesity, helps with thyroid cysts and nodules, cervical issues, PCOS, like I mentioned, liver cysts, goiters, polycystic kidney disease, skin issues, tonsillitis, even. So it's going throughout the whole body. There's a lot of different benefits to Kanchanara Guggul.
Hmm.
And what's happened in the last 2 years, as you know, in the whole supplement business, is costs have gone up and shipping, of course, has gone up. So a lot of these companies who carry Kanchanara are extracting certain ingredients or mismanaging the ratio of the ingredients in the formulation to save
Hmm.
money, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we only use organic ingredients. We only use the concentrated extracts. And then the other key is we follow the exact formula percentages as written by the herbal master that created this formula hundreds of years ago. This is a supplement away from my glandular that I've been taking forever.
Yeah.
And it also detoxes the thyroid. So it's doing a little bit of the detox as well. So that is the key, is the Kanchanara Guggul. And I've been selling it on my website from a different brand that is okay. And the best of the second best, I should say.
Right.
And then we've added in freeze dried thyroid glandular, and
Hmm.
just a small amount. So with the 3 pills, it's 100 milligrams, and so people can increase their dosage or decrease it
Okay.
depending on their situation.
Yep.
And we found that most people need that, that's that extra support. Then what we did, and this was actually a last minute formula change. And I always know there's a reason for things not happening when you want them to happen, right? We were
Yes.
rushing to get this manufactured. It wasn't going through. And I'm like, what is holding it up? And then it hit us and we said, we need to add in L-tyrosine and L-theanine. And the tyrosine is really important, as we've talked about, T3, T4, T2. It's all tyrosine and iodine molecules put together. So it's one of the 20 amino acids that the body uses to make proteins and hormones. And it supports that T4 and T3. It helps with the hypothyroid, but it also helps with protein building because the amino acids, and specifically L-tyrosine, is responsible for the structure of proteins in the body. It supports the neurotransmitters. This is something that people don't even realize. And when I went to my mentor 15 years ago and I was at my rock bottom, he didn't tell me why he put me on L-tyrosine, but it really was to increase my dopamine and my L-dopa and just that feel-good hormone to get up every day, because I literally was on the floor. My thyroid was tanked and my mood was tanked and everything. So L-tyrosine is really important for that L-dopa, the epinephrine, and dopamine. And so you could have depression or other common symptoms of, that underactive thyroid just because of your lack of tyrosine. And then it's also really important for skin and hair, as the thyroid in general is really important for that. It supports the adrenals and the pituitary. And I think we talked about last time how the adrenals take over in the afternoon to produce that T3 or T4 and T3 if the thyroid's tanked. So you need that tyrosine to support the adrenals and the pituitary. What I've noticed with my own pituitary is if I'm overly stressed, my pituitary is going crazy, right? And it's spinning, and I find myself retaining a whole bunch of water. That's like my number one symptom. And that's part of the thyroid too. And that signaling from your pituitary to the thyroid. And so the tyrosine is helping support that, as they are all interrelated. Yeah. It helps improve cognition, reducing that brain fog, and it helps alleviate the stress effects that we get. And it's, with stress, you need that iodine, you need the accelerated salt, because we use up a lot of salt when we're stressed, but we also need that tyrosine. And it's also the backbone for the adrenal hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. So we really need that for those stress times. And then we added in the L-threonine, and I love this supplement. I actually have it in the accelerated keto too, just a little bit. It's an essential amino acid that plays an important role in regulating protein balance, but it also helps prevent fatty liver. And non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is the fastest growing disease in the United States. You do not have to be drinking alcohol to have this.
No. High insulin causes it. Yeah.
Right. And that high fructose corn syrup, get it out of your diet ASAP. But with the threonine, it helps prevent the fatty buildup in the liver. And it does this by regulating the fat metabolism and facilitating lipotropic functions. And then what also it is doing, and the reason I also put it in the accelerated keto, is that is helping defat your liver as you're intermittent fasting, reducing that inflammation and prepping you, if you so choose, to do my full Ascent cleanse and do the liver flush. So it's kind of that prepping of the liver before the liver flush. And it's also something that people take on a daily basis to just kind of keep that liver clean, as we are being bombarded by all of the xenoestrogens, creating estrogen dominance and all of those issues, right?
Absolutely.
It helps with wound healing. It helps with connective tissues in your bones, skin, arteries, digestive tract, and it helps with your immune system, and it helps with your mood. So if you're having severe mood swings or irritability, that could be a sign of threonine deficiency. I know that a lot of people, with the fear that was created over the last 2 years, they started taking threonine as a supplement just on its own, because it calms the brain down and calms you down. It's also known to strengthen digestion, which most people with thyroid issues have digestive issues, right?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
all connected. And then it also helps with B12 production. So that's something that is really important,
The
especially
thyroid.
if you have a methylation issue. So those are the ingredients in the accelerated thyroid. It fits perfectly with your Thyroid Fixxr and the acceleridine.
It does.
And that package is kind of like a whole endocrine package. It's not even just thyroid.
We really should bundle it all together, right? On both of our stores. And kind of
Yeah.
going back to what you said earlier, the reason why I carry a Celardine on my store is because it's the best. I am not going to try to recreate something that is perfect. So yeah, I completely follow you there. And I think pairing up Thyroid Fixxr and your new thyroid product, what is it called, Sarah? What's your new product?
Accelerated thyroid.
Accelerated thyroid. So Thyroid Fixxr, accelerated thyroid, and a Celardine, I think is the perfect stack because they're doing different things. So you have everything that Sara just said with her accelerated thyroid. It's helping tremendously. I mean, top to bottom for the body. And then the T2 in the Thyroid Fixxr comes in, helps to improve basal metabolic rate at the mitochondrial level. It helps produce ATP from the mitochondria because your mitochondria, that's the powerhouse of the cell. And when we have something called the cell danger response, Sara has talked about this as well, even as it relates to her detox, as it relates to using iodine. We'll talk about that a little bit more in this podcast. But when you have that cell danger response, sometimes you can be hypo at the cell level. So that would be one of those people that, you know, we're looking at your labs or your doctor's looking at your labs and everything looks great. And you're like, but I still don't have the brain clarity. I'm still not losing weight. I still don't have my energy back. And this is where by reducing toxin overload, by improving the cell, by improving the mitochondrial function, you can actually kind of clear away anything that might be clogging the cell or even clogging your T3 receptor site on the cell. And then your T3, whether it's produced by your thyroid or whether you're taking it via a glandular, NDT, you're taking T3, whatever your thyroid regimen is, your treatment regimen is, now that T3 can actually work. So with Thyroid Fixxr working on the mitochondria while increasing brown adipose tissue, which you want. You don't want the white adipose tissue or the white fat. You want the brown fat because that is more metabolically active. I can't see a better synergy except for all these three products combined. And the reason why I really wanted to kind of get into the ingredients in yours, not only to tell people about the benefits of them and what it's going to do for you, but also to highlight that. And I have L-tyrosine. I say tyrosine, you say tyrosine. I have tyrosine in mine too. And I just want to kind of touch on that before I get into the other products that are out there. You really can't overdo amino acids.
No.
I mean, you know, there's certain amino acids. I guess if you took a lot of leucine, you can get a little bit of like a serotonin overproduction kind of thing, you know, where some people will get a little bit wonky, but you really can't overdo amino acids. So the beauty of getting a little bit more tyrosine, not a big deal. I want to get into the other supplements that are out there that drive me crazy because you guys listening, I know you very well. And I know that you go out and you buy anything with the word thyroid on it, hoping and praying to God that this will be it. This will be the supplement that changes my life and changes my body and changes how I feel. And most of the time it doesn't. And most of the time, those thyroid supplements out there have a crap ton of selenium that pushes you way too high and thus increases your reverse T3. It'll have iodine, and I put that in air quotes for those who aren't watching, in the form of kelp. And I'm going to let Sara get into how that is not a good idea whatsoever. So you really have to, just because it says thyroid on it, know what you're taking. There are probably thousands of conversion supplements out there with the mag and the selenium and the kelp or some kind of iodine that's not good and a bunch of other crappy ingredients that it's really not doing anything for you. You want to be using supplements that are actually going to produce a result and where you will be able to say, yes, my energy is up. That's what we're hearing from Thyroid Fixxr. Yes, I'm losing weight. Finally, even though we were treating my thyroid, I added this in, I'm finally losing weight. So we really want you guys to be using supplements that do what they are supposed to do. And you're not just throwing it in willy-nilly because it has thyroid on the label. So Sara, talk to me about kelp and how that is not the right form of iodine. I know even doctors will tell their patients to just go get a kelp supplement.
Not just doctors, but even well-renowned podcasters in our field, that I'm shocked that they're still saying this. And then I also want to, after we touch on the kelp, I want to make sure we touch on what not to be eating. And that could be,
Right.
In the diet as well. But so kelp is in a lot of supplements, like you said, and it used to be an okay iodine source, but kelp, the iodine that it has now it's severely contaminated. After Fukushima and Chernobyl, kelp is all radioactive, all of it. Every single kelp that we've tested was radioactive. And what happens also, it's in the form of potassium iodide. And on my website, sarabantahealth.com, there I have a lot of different articles on iodine, obviously. One of them is how a lot of the supplements are diatomic, meaning iodine attached to another molecule. Well, one of the one that is in kelp is potassium iodide, which takes a lot of energy to break down in your already deficient energy body that can't even run to keep itself going, right? We're all tired and fatigued because our thyroids aren't working. Now you're asking your body to break down iodine away from potassium into usable active iodine, which is I-. So let's go back to chemistry class. So that kelp is the worst radioactive substance. So when you think about it, here we are trying to give our body that iodine to kick out radioactivity and heavy metals, but really we're giving ourselves that radioactive iodine is going into the body. So we're doing the exact opposite of what are the reason the reason that we are trying to take that kelp. So the iodine in the kelp is displacing the only natural stable isotope of iodine, which is I-127. And that is what acceleradine is. So it is a singlet atom that has 100% bioavailability, goes right into the cells in all 100 trillion cells of your body, not just for your thyroid. It's going down into your toes and your fingers. And the way you know if you have enough iodine in your body is that basal body temperature. And using a mercury, going back to the old mercury thermometers. So you have to remember, the blood tests aren't telling everything, right? We have to go after, how are we feeling? Yes, you're taking your thyroid medication, but you're still not losing weight, or you still are fatigued, or you still have that brain fog. Well, that iodine, the proper iodine, acceleradine, helps clear the brain fog. Why? Because you have calcification from fluoride and bromide in the brain, and that's causing in your pineal gland, and that's causing brain fog. Once you start kicking those toxins out, the brain wakes up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this whole new leash on life. My depression lifts. Iodine deficiency is the #1 predictor of depression and mood disorders. And then it's also the #1 predictor of mental retardation. That's why it's really important for pregnant women and children to be using the acceleradine, because it can actually increase IQ by 13.5 points, which has been proven. So I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, no, I'm a big proponent, just kind of jumping off of what you just said about pregnant women. I try to get this out there over and over and over again that even if you're thinking about getting pregnant, we want to optimize you first because I have seen autism. I've experienced it. It is tough. And to rush to have and listen, I understand that there are many, many different causes of autism and mental retardation and brain delays and developmental delays, but I have seen it firsthand. And to rush into having a child without getting your body optimized could mean that you are taking care of that child for the rest of your life. So if
Yeah.
it takes a year to prep your body, to get your thyroid optimized, to add in iodine so that now you have enough, and then when you do get pregnant, it's already there. It's already there for the baby. Now you might have to adjust your dose when you are pregnant, but if your iodine levels are optimal, and I don't mean on a blood test, and I'm going to expand on what you said too, Sarah, because many of my patients will start on your iodine and then their practitioner or even them, they themselves will order an iodine test and it's through the roof. It's sky high. And I go, why are you even testing? Number one, we don't know the accuracy of the various iodine tests. That jury is still out. I don't even know where I land. I say, let's test blood first. And if you're low, you're low. But after you start taking it, you're it's going to be high. But the bottom line is, how do you feel? And you need iodine anyways. So don't necessarily back off just because your blood test says high. So you want that in your system working. Really, after you start taking it, go by how you feel. I know there was one time I got your Celadine out and I was counting and then I just went, and too much squirted out in the glass. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just take it anyways. And that day I just felt a little more amped up. I felt like maybe I drank an extra cup of coffee or two. And I knew it was just because I took a little bit too much, but I can adjust the dose the next day and take the right amount that I'm supposed to be taking, you know? So it's all really about tuning into how you feel when it comes to that. So I'm glad you mentioned the pregnancy piece because that's a message that I try to get out there over and over again because I've experienced it. And it's just like, man, if we can prevent that at all in a woman, I want to try to prevent it.
Yeah, and the thing also, a funny, interesting tip is that intracellularly, meaning inside the cell, iodine's producing that ATP, that energy. It is increasing ATP by 18 times. So it goes from 2 to 36 ATP, right? So extracellularly, outside the cell, iodine acts as an antioxidant, anti-allergenic. It's detoxifying, vasodilating. It helps with autoimmune issues and that it induces that apoptosis. And that's why it's so important during fetal development because there's no other time in your life than when you're a fetus, when you're going through so much apoptosis or programmed cell death. And then when you're in puberty. So you can bet that all of my kids are definitely taking their iodine or they don't get fed and their cell phone does not get paid for. So it is, I have to use a little bit of that little knife, right? But actually I'm joking aside because they believe in it because they feel better when they take it. So that's really important. And it's the destruction of abnormal cells is the apoptosis. So thereby it inhibits cancer cell growth. And I believe the statistic is by taking acceleradine iodine, you are reducing your risk of breast cancers and other cancers by 50%. So the breast tissue has 4 times more receptor sites for iodine than the thyroid. So it's really important for breast tissue, and iodine deficiency also leads to estrogen dominance. Iodine regulates estrogen and progesterone in the body. So really important for your female hormones, especially as we're getting into perimenopause and menopause. The other thing I was just going to mention is when we're talking about thyroid health away from supplements, get off of the some of the vegetables, the broccolis and the sulfur vegetables. And it's not just that they can slow down the thyroid, but you could also have a sulfur detoxification issue where you cannot break down the sulfur, which
Right.
at the liver level is going to back up your liver. And where is the conversion from T4 to T3 happening? In your liver. So, for instance, all 5 of my family members, me included, those vegetables I can't process very well.
Okay. What
So
will
then
happen? Can you know, like, will you just get gas? Or how do you know that you have a sulfur detox issue?
gas, bloated, you're constipated, skin issues, hair falling out. So it's causing leaky gut because
Mhm.
it's just backing up that liver and backing it up. Sulfur is supposed to be great for you, right? But what's happened is glyphosate and some of the other endocrine disruptors have caused an issue where we're not able to break down sulfur. Most people, I should say. And so
Mhm.
then that is going to back up the liver, causing estrogen dominance, which is going to cause low thyroid, and it's like a domino effect. The other group are the oxalates. The oxalates in kale, spinach, almonds, all of the low calorie or ketogenic foods, right?
I
Those little oxalates are like little toothpicks, and they love your thyroid, they love your kidneys, and they love your joints. So if you have kidney issues, recurring UTIs, if you have hypothyroidism, if you have arthritis, I always look to the oxalates and getting those out of your diet. And now the bummer about the oxalates is it takes, years to detox from. Sulfur, it's in and out of your body within a day.
Mhm.
Sugar, in and out of your body within a day. The vegetable seed oils, they're in your body for over a year,
Yep.
right? But the
Yep.
oxalates as well. And so it's a kind of a method on how to detox from them, but it's something to think about if you are hypothyroid. And it's something that I definitely saw a difference in my health when I stopped eating them. And when you focus on that wild animal protein, so not the chicken, not the turkey, not the pork, and not even the conventional beef, especially now more than ever, because what we're seeing is with COVID, it's increasing that amyloid protein disruption in the body. Those amyloid proteins don't get broken down in the body for usable proteins, right? So the
Mhm.
body's meant to take in the protein, break it down into those awesome amino acids, then rebuild those amino acids into a protein to shuttle to where they need to go,
Yep.
where the amyloid proteins can't get broken down. And then that also can cause gut pathogens to disrupt. And this is actually going on in my daughter at the moment. And I had to talk with her. I said, we cannot eat more than ever, even grain-fed beef.
Right.
Even though we eat grass-fed beef, but we tend to stick to the bison, the elk, deer, lamb, wild fish, those meats because they don't have the amyloid proteins. They won't cause gut disruptions, and the amyloid proteins will actually increase food poisonings or leaky gut or just the bad guys getting out of balance with the good guys in the gut. So that's something to look for too, is when you focus on the wild animal proteins, then you focus on a certain amount of vegetables that are not oxalates or not sulfur. You might see a difference in your thyroid health and just the way you feel. I have one of my very best friends. She was having plantar fasciitis. She walks 8 miles a day, and she said, Sara, I can't walk because my feet they're hurting so much. And I'm just going to continue gaining weight. And she goes, I have to just have a pea protein shake, and that's all I'm going to have. And I said, okay, I have to speak up. I said, number one, the pea protein could be inflammatory to you because it could be full of mold,
Yep.
which especially during this time of year can trigger other reactions in your body and inflammation, which
Yep.
is going to hurt your foot more. And it's going to slow down your thyroid and your metabolism, and it's going to get you nowhere. I
Yep.
said, can you give me 3 days? And she said, okay. I said, take the acceleradine, take the accelerated keto, and just do wild animal protein. Just do bison for 3 days.
Okay.
She calls me back 3 days later and she goes, you are Frankenstein. I said, what do you mean? She goes, I've lost like 5 to 8 pounds. I can't remember what the number is now, in 3 days. And Sara, whenever you used to say, I feel my thyroid turn on, she goes, my thyroid turned on. I felt it. I felt this heat come up. And just by getting some of those plant poisons out of her diet and focusing on the protein, and she said, and I can walk. She could go back on walking because the inflammation in her feet were gone. And she's now, and mind you, Amie, she is not a big person. So she was 132 pounds. She lost 14 pounds.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so she goes, now I don't want to lose any more weight, but she feels great. She feels totally in control. The bloat's gone. The symptoms of thyroid issues are gone just by tweaking a couple things in her diet. And now she can reintroduce some of those foods back in.
Right. And I'm glad you said that because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I know I had a special hate in my heart for you when I heard you talk about oxalates and taking out almond flour as well, because I cook with that or bake with that a lot. But I don't overbake. I would say I use it probably 3-4 days a week. And I know it's a good crutch for people that are moving from a standard American diet or moving from eating all this gluten containing processed baked goods into being able to bake themselves some lower carb using almond flour, maybe using a little monk fruit, coconut palm sugar. And then they can, that is better than this standard American diet over here. So it's a nice transition. But I think what you're saying too is to take it to that next level. So if you're still using some almonds and you're like, oh my God, I thought kale was good for me, that's fine. It's better than your French fries. It's better than the bagel that you're grabbing from Dunkin' Donuts, right? But now maybe that next step, if you are still experiencing symptoms, lack of weight loss, low energy, like you said, Sara, pain. I just had a patient text me today and say, well, I started on hormones. We started on hormone replacement therapy as well as optimizing her thyroid. And she said, I'm getting all these muscle pains now. Like it feels like when I sit in the car and I get up, I feel like I worked out for 3 hours or ran a marathon. And I'm thinking now that you're talking, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's the food. Maybe it's not that we started hormones because there's no connection there. Yes, if you are still hypothyroid, you can have increased joint pain and inflammation. But now that you're talking, I'm going to text her after this and be like, well, maybe it's the food. Like, let's check and see if you have any of these inflammatory foods coming in. And the pea protein is horrible. I tell all my patients, get off the damn pea protein. It's inflammatory. No whey protein is not better. You have to go with like the bone broth based protein powder because that is the animal based protein. It's not plants. It's not peas. It's not whey that is crappy and will spike your insulin anyways. It's a nice high quality collagen bone broth based protein powder. So that's the only protein powder I tell people to use.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. And what we're finding too is a lot of those protein powders are converted into sugar. I personally, I just wrote a blog that will be coming out on muscle building, and it was kind of for women, but really it applies to men too, because it was essentially for me. I hit 46 and my muscle mass, nothing changed. I've always worked out. I've always been into strength training and building good muscle, especially for women. It's super important. But my muscle mass started to go down and I kind of freaked out, and it's hormonal and it's hard to keep that muscle on. And that's why I also love the wild animal protein for that. But the Perfect Aminos is a supplement that I am taking myself and I now carry it, but it's 99% absorbed. And what I tell people is to combine that with like the bone broth or the collagen supplement, right? You need your collagen, especially as we're getting older. And that's really important too. But the wild animal protein has all of those great B vitamins and the iron and all of the other nutrients that are the building blocks for good protein. God gave these animals all the nutrients in this nice package deal with the good omega-3 fatty acids, the right amino acids that are meant to build our bodies up. So I love it when some supplement companies try to put together pea protein with a little hemp in it or something else. And And that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back, Amie, on the point you touched on, as you do not have to do what I said and go straight on a carnivore diet for a few days to finally get your results. That is like the best elimination diet for
Yeah.
temporary, right?
Yep.
To then introduce the vegetables and the fruits and the foods that you love, and see if you have a reaction.
Yep.
Because if you're eating a bunch of things, you don't know what you're reacting to. I do tell people, if you're eating kale because you love it, go ahead. If you're eating kale because you think it's good for you, stop.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
But right. So it's, what are you eating those things for? I love fruit and I eat it for enjoyment. I love vegetables, but I eat the vegetables that I enjoy. I'm not necessarily eating them for my nutrients. I'm eating my meats for the nutrients.
Yep. Protein first. Eat the meat first. So when you have that plate in front of you and you have a steak and you have a side of asparagus and steamed broccoli and you have a sweet potato, you eat that protein first, because then if you pick at the other stuff that may or may not be inflammatory for you, but when you pick at the other stuff, you're not going to overconsume it. I don't want you eating the sweet potato and eating the veggies and then you can't even get down half of your steak because you're too full. So protein first all the time. And I'm really happy you mentioned that animal protein, focus on that, because again, another reason why we're friends is we think a lot like the day that your blog came out on eating animal protein and not, how I forget what you called it, but it was basically how vegetarian and veganism is not a great idea. Like, you need this animal protein. I texted you. I'm like, I literally just released a podcast that it's called "The Only Thing Worse Than a Vegetarian Is a Vegan." Like, it's like we just think the same way, but that animal protein is so important.
Yeah, and vegans will feel good for 6 months when they switch. And why? It's not what they're eating, it's what they're not eating. They're not eating the standard American diet anymore. So of
Right.
course you're going to feel better. But then after 6 months, the body's going to say, "Hey, where's my nutrients? Where are my B vitamins? Where's my iron and all the stuff that I need for true energy?" And most of them are insulin resistant. Most of them have hypothyroidism. Most of them start losing their hair. They start
Mhm.
gaining weight, and all of these things happen. If you're doing it because of your religion, then you're doing it because of your religion. But if you're doing it because you want to be healthy, then stop. And the one thing that I made a point of in that blog was, the vegans have this identity. Like, everyone in our world right now is trying to find an identity. Our kids are are they part of this group or that group, or
Yep.
are they an athlete? Are they a musician? Are they a druggie? Whatever their group is, right? Whatever
Right.
their identity is. And vegans love to hold on to being a vegan, and keto people love to hold on to being a keto person. How about eating for your DNA? How
Yeah.
about how about being the DNA dieter? That's why I'm trying to push this whole thought of, you don't have to be a strict vegan. Maybe you love vegetables and you eat some animal protein once in a while, just to put your toe in there for a little bit
Right.
and see how it goes. So I just wanted to put that out there, that your identity does not have to be tied into your food consumption.
Very true. Very well said. Yeah. And listen, the carnivore diet has, gosh, a lot of great things tied to it. I mean, I love the idea of doing that short term, just to take down inflammation, just to kind of reset your body or see what your body does, like Sarah's friend. I mean, it could be 3 days and you're like, holy cow, my body just shed some water and shed some fat and reduce the inflammation. Now my foot doesn't hurt. Or maybe you might have to do it for a week, or maybe you have to do it for 2 weeks. I don't know, but I think it's a great short term and long term if that's your jam. Like, if you start doing it, you're like, yes, this is amazing, then keep on doing it. I mean, there's a woman in the keto space. I'm not going to remember her name at all, but she was so bad autoimmune wise. Listen, I give her all the credit in the world because she's doing what most people could not do, including myself. She has found that her body does best with ribeye steaks. She eats ribeyes and water every day. Every day. Every day. That is her food. And if she introduces even another, now I'm not saying that that's the way to go, but I'm saying she has found what works for her body, and it is meat.
Yeah.
So that keeps her inflammation down. I think you really, like you said, eat for your DNA, eat for your body, eat for how your body feels. If you try a certain way and you're not getting better, then you got to shift it.
Yeah, and the other thing that I found is that may change. I mean, right now we've seen, even just with COVID, that COVID changes it so that your body actually prefers fish versus red meat, or vice versa. So listen to your cravings, listen to what your body's saying. My one daughter right now, she's like, no fish, please, no, it's making me nauseous. There's a reason. Maybe her liver's backed up and it's too fatty. Maybe the salmon's too fatty, and causing that fat will cause nausea, right? So that's another sign to look for. If you're feeling nauseous and you're trying a high fat ketogenic diet and it's not working for you, you could be what's called fat malabsorbed, where you're not able to break down that fat. Go to the leaner cuts of meat, do a liver flush, do a cleanse with me, and then you will flush those stones into the toilet, increase that fat absorption. You also can use the accelerated ancient salt to help with digesting fats that are normally undigestible. It also helps with nausea, you just putting a little bit on your tongue. But the fat is something that you can adjust up and down depending on you. And that is not, so that's why I talk about keto. I talk about the accelerated keto supplement. I am not on a high fat diet. It doesn't work for me.
Yep.
For my 20-year-old son who needs 4,000, 5,000 calories a day, he can down a whole bottle of olive oil on his steak or butter and whatever. And he does all whole food, all healthy food, all that, but he can do a whole bunch more of the fat than I can. And another sign to look for, if you're fat malabsorbed, is your poop is floating in the toilet. It's light. It's a light color. You have bumps on the back of your arms. I know a lot of people have that. That's a sign that you're not breaking down fat. And the nausea on your right side, or right shoulder pain, that is your gallbladder saying, hey, I need some help. And right now, with all of the toxins that we're detoxing from, they're at a whole nother level that we're not meant to detox from. And so our livers and our gallbladders are working super hard. And back to the original statement that we just constantly need to cleanse our liver to help with our thyroid health and our whole endocrine system.
Well, I don't think people realize how much the liver plays a role, even in the metabolism. I did a whole podcast on, because I came out with Liver Fixxr as well, just as like gentle support, just gentle daily support to help the liver. Now, if somebody has really elevated liver enzymes, we obviously need to do probably a little bit more, but Liver Fixxr is just for, that daily ongoing support of the liver, which is imperative to your metabolism. People don't always think of liver and metabolism, liver and the ability to burn the fat, that you're like, hey, it's not coming off my body. But it is so vital. It is so vital to support the liver. Sarah, I know we are short on time, and you have to run. One last thing that I really, even if it's a minute long, not buying your products off of Amazon. And I know you and I have we see the back end of the supplement world, and it is just ridiculous. So you and I have put just our hearts, our time, our knowledge, our research into building our supplement lines. And it's really important, I think, for the listeners to know that not everything out there is good. I mean, there are even the private label from some, like you said, big podcasters, health influencers. I know what they're using. I know that they're sticking their label on somebody else's product. And you and I have really kind of dug in to make these proprietary supplements that actually do what they're supposed to do. Can you give me like a 30-second to 60-second blurb on the importance of just high quality supplementation and not buying your products from Amazon?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny is that I've got mentors that test me and test supplements, from a computer system that's $30,000, $40,000 worth, to muscle testing and medical intuitives and
Yep.
they don't know each other, right? So, and then I've got systems on my phone that actually test supplements on me. And there are so many things out there, and I get sent a lot of supplements for free
Yep.
to carry because people want me to carry their stuff.
Yep.
And sometimes none of it tests well because it's full of fillers. It's full of the cheap ingredients, like I was talking about with the accelerated thyroid. And these were companies that were reputable that I used to use. And now I can't really even depend on them. And that's why I'm having to come up with my own supplements. So be careful, really listen to your body and your reaction. And, you don't necessarily need a computer or a medical intuitive to tell you if a supplement doesn't feel right for you. Take it out for a week, put it back in for a week. Really listen to your body. I've taught my kids to really listen. I will sometimes throw supplements at my kids and say, well, try this. And my son is super intuitive. He'll hold the bottle and he says, Mom, this doesn't feel good. I said, okay. And that's it. So, and that gift isn't everybody. That is not just something he's gifted with. So I want to encourage everyone to become more in tune with their own guiding system, and really, really also look into the companies that you are trusting when it comes to supplements. And don't buy your supplements on Amazon. You don't know how long that they have been sitting on the shelf. And that is why I refuse to put my supplements on Amazon.
Same. I even have a clip of a video, and this is done a couple of years ago, but it's from this old documentary where it was really a bodybuilding documentary, but this guy in California, he grabbed some workers off the street, brought them back to his apartment, sat him down at the table. And this was all just to show the watchers of this documentary how easy it is to counterfeit a supplement. So he's giving them the empty capsules, and he's got this rice flour bin that he's mixing up, and all they're doing is filling the capsules, putting it in the bottle. He's got a professional label maker, which is not hard. He has a sealer, which is not hard to get. You can get that off of Amazon and set up your own, supplement company at your house. And he's like, here you go. Here's a $60 bottle of nothing that I can sell on Amazon.
Yeah.
Just like that. It can be counterfeit too. Not even only expire, but counterfeit too. So, Sara, I know you have to run. Thank you so much. We could go on and on, but we're just going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
This is just too much fun. So we're just going to keep doing this. And I'm so excited for your supplement to come out. We will announce it. Everyone listening, we will announce it when it comes out. I promise you. And we're going to have Sara back on. We're going to do another talk when it does come out, just to kind of blast it out to the world. Because I think, again, Thyroid Fixxr, accelerated thyroid, Iodine. I mean, what a crazy, amazing stack that is.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amie. I love being with you.
Thank you. So we will have all the links to get into your store in the show notes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been great. And thank you, Sara. We'll have you back on.